There it goes. So this is best practices to connect with families. Eric had asked me to share with everyone some of what is going on in my ministry here in New Jersey, and hopefully it's something that you can pull something from, or an idea might be shared that you can use in your ministry sense to help strengthen your student ministry and your connection with parents at your church. Um, just starting a little bit about myself, just to get things rolling so you know who's speaking. Well, I'm Dan Crulin. I've been married now for 17 years. I have three wonderful kids and a beautiful wife and a husky dog named Ronan. Um, we live in North Jersey. It's where I grew up, so this is home for me, and just great place to be if you ever get a chance to visit. Um, I've been in student ministry full time for 18 years. I was a volunteer before that. That's actually what led to me being called into ministry. Was the time I spent volunteering. So I have a great affinity for people that are in a volunteer context in ministry. And just been blessed that God has given me an opportunity now for almost 2 decades to influence students and to work in His kingdom. Coming up, here we go. Just where those 18 years have taken place, I spent some time in Pennsylvania in Apocopad churches. I was in Springfield, Delaware County for about 7 years. I was in Linesville, Crawford County, which was about 2 years. Time spent in those churches serving, and now God has brought me, like I said, back home to New Jersey, to a place 10 minutes from my own home where I can serve. It's a place called Jacksonville Chapel. We are located about 25 minutes outside of Manhattan. On a nice clear night, you can see the skyline from our church parking lot. It's really beautiful, and uh, this is just an awesome place that I'm humbled that God has allowed me to serve here for this time of my life and in the life of our church here. Um, some context of that ministry, just so you know, we're a multi-site church. We have currently two campuses. We're opening up a third campus in January. Um, there'll be a video venue with children's ministry, worship, and a campus pastor. We have a main campus where I serve most of my time, and a Spanish campus, which is about 20 minutes from here, closer to the city. And God is just blessing and working through the lives of our church and our ministry here. Um, the youth ministry of that is broken down into, we have five of us on staff. I lead that team. I have two full-timers, an assistant, and a guy that does high school and college ministry with me, and we have two interns. So this is not something that any one person can do. I do believe in the value of a team, and that's kind of what I want to get at with this connecting parents is, how do you get parents on your team? How do you connect with them? Let them know what's going on in your church, what's going on in your ministry. Help them feel involved and a part of things. So I broke that down now into what I believe are the five biggest needs that we need to have and you need to have in your student ministry to connect with parents. So let me go through what the five things are, and then we'll break each of them out individually. That'll also probably give Eric and Mark a chance to jump in somewhere along the way. But let's start with the first quick one here. You need to know your students' needs. I believe we all do this anyway. We spend time with students, we get to know them, we see what's going on in their culture, and I just wanted to start here because I want everyone to realize that you're already doing a lot of the things you need to connect families, package it. That's going to really help make that bridge building work. So you already need to know your students' needs. Secondly, you need to open up lines of communication with them. You need to be able to figure out how they're going to listen, where they're best going to listen, what that looks like. When's the best time to reach them? When are they going to be listening? Is really the answer, the question you have to ask there. Third thing is, I feel you need to equip parents for ministry. Equip them to do student ministry. They're the primary caregivers, is what the Bible says. They're the ones who need to be leading and guiding their children in all things closer to the Lord. And we need to do the best we can to make them great student ministers at home. And we'll unpack that a little bit later. Hopefully, if you're doing all this, you also have to learn this fourth one, and that's make it worth their time. You've only got a short bandwidth to really catch somebody's attention, and if you're not getting them in that attention, they're just gonna gloss right over it. It's got to be quality things that are really gonna pop and draw them in. Um, and then you hopefully know what that is, and if you don't, I'm going to give you some suggestions of places to find some really good quality resources later on. And then the last one, and you've noticed each of these are your biggest needs, and that's because these are things that you have to do. Most parents aren't going to come beating down your door for this information and for the connection and for the training. So you have to do all of these things, and that starts and ends with you being committed and consistent in how you reach out to them. If you try for a good 2 weeks and then you kind of slide off and you're not following up, they're going to notice, you don't even really care about this connection and making a bridge to them. So you have to be committed, you have to be consistent, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing in those areas in a little bit as well. So let's jump into the first one here, knowing your students' needs. Like I said, hopefully you do this already. You spend time with students, you pray with students, you teach students, you minister with students, you fellowship with them. You know what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their hearts. The way I look at it in my practice is about being a student of local culture, not just what's going on in the world, but what's going on specifically in my town. What's going through the high school? What are they talking about? What are some things that have happened in the high school? Example, our local high school, Pequannock High School, had to cancel their first football game last week because most of the football players had Coxsackie disease, basically known as hand, foot, and mouth disorder. Easily treatable, but that's something that students were talking about. So how do you work that in to your teaching and what's being said? And the parents are concerned with it too. So if you're speaking about the things that they're speaking about, hopefully that brings you to the same table in the same conversation, and you're able to have those conversations with them about what they see their kid needs, and you're talking about what their kid needs. It's also great because this helps you start with what you already know. It's not new ground you're breaking, it's taking what you've already acquired and figuring out how to use that as a bridge building mechanism with parents. So with that, the benefit of
Hey Dan, I think we lost your audio.
which is what I feel Jesus really did through the parables. He used local context and things that were very familiar to the people as a way to teach them about the kingdom of heaven. And if you can be looking at what's going on in your context, in your culture, what's going around in your town, and you can connect the Bible and connect biblical truth to those things, you're going to start to help bridge gaps between your ministry and families and your ministry and the community. And that's an important first step. And that's something that I think we all already know, but it's got to be a logistical and what's the word I'm thinking of here. It's got to be intentional that you're doing these things, and yet you're reaching out to those areas. So hopefully, if you've got the communication and you've got the subject matter from your students, now you need to know what to do with that. And that leads us to the second one, opening up communication. How do your parents best listen? For some people, that's a parent meeting. We have a Facebook group that I moderate through our group, our church. Facebook is mostly where parents are, right? That's culturally, generationally, that's where they are. Most students are on Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter, but a lot of parents are still on Facebook. So that's what works for me in my context. And also the parent meeting, which I know a lot of people go, ugh, parent meeting. I don't like parent meetings. because you feel like you get questions you don't know how to answer. You get the parent that just wants to come and be a helicopter parent, or even worse, a bulldozer parent, which I'm not sure if that's a term yet, but I'd like to coin that one if it isn't. The parent that blazes a trail for their kid by knocking everything out of the way. Um, we sometimes shy away from parent meetings because we're afraid of the unknown. But in my context, and maybe hopefully you can find it in yours, you can make these parent meetings something short and fun, so that it's not too drawn out, it's not boring, it's not cheesy, it's not lame. But find short things that you can do just to pull some parents in for a few minutes, half hour at the most. You want to be mindful of their time. Also, it helps relieve some of the pressure of you of what do I do with them for a full meeting, and also make them fun. Help them find some value in that, because that's what I've started doing, and it opens up those communications where parents are not talking to each other. They're coming to me with thoughts. They're coming to me with questions, and it creates an opportunity for them to realize you're really listening and that you care. We also, like I said, through our Facebook group, and let me show you a quick shot here. This is a screenshot of my Facebook group. We call it Parent Impact. Our student ministry here is Impact Student Ministries. So we said, let's impact parents. So that was the easy way to come up with a name. And if you can look on here, I'm able to share posts from other people. This name here, Heather Horn, is one of our children's ministry directors here at our church. And we have a thing coming up with our baptism class. So she posted about it. I don't have to retype it. I can just share her thing already on Facebook to my parent group, and they can all see that. I also post blog posts, video things, updates on events, and different things coming up. You can share files. There's a button there marked More, and you can go on there, and if there's a way to share files and documents. You can get flyers, permission slips, easy place for parents to come together, and you don't have to have a website separately, although you can. But this is something that a lot of people already have. They have access to it on their phone, and they can get their information whenever they log on. They go on at 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. They're at work and they're 10 a.m. and they want to log in. Their information is constantly out there on a format people already use, Facebook. And a couple other things with our group, you can see on the top there, it's a closed group. It's not something that the information goes everywhere. In order to join, it's by invite or request. So we're constantly reminding new families, hey, join our Facebook group. It gives them a chance to get feedback and give feedback on things. They can ask questions, and also you can point them to other important church things, like we have our Jacksonville Chapel Kids Parents page, which is for our children's ministry version of Parent Impact, and we could share back and forth. So this has been something that's been very beneficial in my context, going online with something that's free and a lot of people already use. So as we open up those communications, the benefit is it gets you FaceTime. It puts your information in what you want them to hear in front of them, and it opens up discussion. And that open communication is the goal of what we want to connect with parents. They need to start seeing that we're not just babysitters. We're not just taking their kids for a fun activity for an hour or 2 hours a week. It's, as Josh Griffin says on his blog, it's more than dodgeball. We need to show them that there's information that's valuable and that there's something that cares for them. But this is a bridge you have to build. Not very many parents will come and start building a bridge to you. And usually the ones who do come and build that bridge are the ones you really wish wouldn't. They're the ones that you're like, oh, hi. And they're always constantly in your face. It's easy to get frustrated, but those are the people that care, and they can be very valuable if you can learn how to communicate with them in the correct way. So, you know what's going on with the students. You're opening up lines of communication. So now you need to get that information through those lines of communication to the parents, but for what goal, what end purpose? And that's my third point. is that you need to equip parents for ministry, specifically student ministry. And why is that? Well, how many hours a week do you spend with students? Um, if you're like me, I've got, you know, Sunday school, worship service time. We've got small groups. We've got events and activities. At most, on a typical week, that's about 3 hours we spend with students, directly one-on-one. There's 168 hours in a week. So if you divide that out and you do some math, which I don't really like math either, but that turns out to 0.017%. That's just about 2% of a child's week is spent with you, and you're trying to influence them for an eternity in in heaven. How do you maximize that? You can have the best teaching, you can have really good volunteer leaders, you can have the best games and the best snacks and all these things that attract students. But there's only so many hours that parents and families will give to your ministry a week. So if you make parents part of your team and they see themselves as student leaders and as student ministers, you've now increased the time that you can actually influence that child. You make parents part of your team because they're the main part of the other 165 hours a week you don't see the student. So by strengthening the home, you're strengthening the child, you're strengthening your youth ministry. It's all symbiotic as it goes together. I feel we need to unleash parents as the youth ministry experts and the youth ministers they are, because they've got way more time and way more influence with the child. If you can start to see your ministry as a supplement to what should be going on at home, it's going to change a lot of what you do and how you approach parents and approach youth ministry. So here's some of the things that I do. We have parenting small groups as part of our adult ministry. It's connected to the student ministry, but it's also something that other people can take benefit from. Our youth ministry meets our main meeting on Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30, and we have in a separate place on our church property a small group for parents. So you drop your child off, you walk over to another building, and they have a small group in there specifically for parents where they can talk and share. And they go through different material from different authors and different video series and things that help them as parents. They find value in that. Um, Last year, I taught myself a 4-week, what we call blast group. It's not something that you're in forever. It's not for a quarter. It's for 1 month. If you can commit to 4 Sundays, and I taught a small group of parents. Um, and really, what I found was most of them had great suggestions. You just got to get them together, and that they can start talking and sharing. Another thing you can do is use articles and some training videos that you're putting on a Facebook group or in an email or whoever that line of communication, whatever it is you've opened to find parents. If it's Twitter, you can connect them with great articles and training videos that you've gotten from places where you read and magazines and blogs and retweet things, and get those out to parents. Let me show you a quick example of a short video series that we use. It's called U60, and this is from Download Youth Ministry, something that you can purchase and get, and then you have free reign to use. But this is a 60-second training video for parents. So here, watch this. Well, as you can see, it was a short video. I'm kind of hearing through the chat box here, you couldn't hear it. I'm not sure how to fix that. Um, but you can see that just these short videos. It's a series, like I said, from Download Youth Ministry. You can also look at YouTube. John Acuff has some great short videos and a thing he calls the Parent Cue. Um, but it's these short little pieces that you can equip parents for ministry with. Um, if the benefit of all of this is if you can train parents and equip them for ministry, your influence on the lives of students grows, and God's speaking into their lives more often. Um, excuse me. So, um, changed lives is what our goal is. Taking students from sinner to saint, and the more people that work on that goal, it's only going to help you. So don't be afraid of partnering with parents. Don't be afraid of connecting with them. Partner with them and help them to realize that they're not necessarily raising their kids alone, but you're there as a supplement to that and a helpmate to them in all that they do. So we've opened up with our student information. We've got lines of communication. We have now equipped parents for ministry. So what's the best way to do some of these things? And that's the fourth point, is you need to make whatever you do worth their time. If you like the video, the look of it, you couldn't hear it, but if you looked at the quality of it, it wasn't cheesy. It's short. It's less than a minute. That's the joy of those videos. It's something that's really easy to stream on their phone, their tablet, um, on a computer screen. You've only got 1 to 3 minutes to really get their attention and give them the information you need. 3 is even starting to push it. I know it used to be 5 minutes, and now they say 1 to 3. I'd say the shorter than that, even the better, that you can find. But keep it short. Make sure it's quality so that they will tune in. They'll watch, they'll read, they'll listen to whatever you say. So what I do in that area is I try and find great resources like those videos. I look to what other people um, have shown. I follow the experts on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram. Um, it's a way to connect yourself to what you find to be great information, and you're now the facilitator of connecting parents to that same information. Um, here's some of the guys that I like to listen and follow. You can see Duffy Robbins down at Eastern, Walt Mueller, the Center for Parent Youth Understanding, and Jonathan McKee does a lot of great resources and speaking on parenting. We actually had each of these three gentlemen at our church in the last 3 years. We do a yearly parent seminar, which draws from outside of our congregation, which is a great way to also connect with parents that you don't normally connect to. But these guys are on the front line of youth culture, parenting, studying teenagers, knowing what's going on, and I follow them. Like I mentioned before, John Acuff is another great one. Mark Gregston. You can find people that you respect and you listen to, and that you've drawn some from. So use those same people. I would also suggest you try bringing one of them in. It's a little costly. I understand, but if you can, and if you can maybe partner with some other ministries in your area, it'll be completely worth it to help parents see that you're doing something different than the rest of the world, where you're trying to reach their family. And that's been a big part of our ministry here. A little tip on once you follow these guys on things like Instagram and Twitter. I also follow a lot of them on Facebook, and there's a little button in the corner of most of your blog posts and your Facebook posts, little arrow, and you can click there that says Save Link. And somebody's phone is ringing. Hello. But you can save the link, and then it comes back to it later. So in this case, I've saved a video from something our church did. Eric Metaxas talks a lot about science and faith. We have a small group that studies that material. So you can see his evolution post. I want to come back to that. Some things there from Text in Church on follow-up tools. these are all things that I would really love to be able to share with my congregation and my families. And I can't share it constantly and keep coming to these things over and over and over again. So I save them, and then when I'm looking for another time to post or I need something to share, if I don't have something pressing, I can go back to this list of saved items and share one of them as well. And it's a great resource just to save it and keeps it online on this list. And it's not something you have to write down. You're going to copy and paste. You can just save the link already to a list. So um, find great resources, bring in, follow the experts, and the benefit here is that it opened doors for discussions with parents or other discussions. As I've given them a chance to talk and a chance for them to be heard, just like you want to give students that chance, parents will suddenly be like, oh, well, maybe I can find an answer here. You've got a lot of great resources. You can maybe, if you even if you don't know the answer, maybe they know you can help find it. Um, that's something that's come with some experience and some age, but this is, as I really think about it, something I wish I had been doing a lot earlier on in my ministry time as well. I used to think, oh, I don't have kids, I'm not married as a volunteer, and even when I was just a young married guy, what are older parents with kids in their teens going to really learn from me? Uh, I think this is a great way. If you make it worth their time, then they're going to start seeing you as a resource and maybe see you as an expert, which you may or may not be, but at least they're going to see you as a place where you can come and find answers. So with all those things, there's one more piece that I feel really needs to be addressed, and this is another thing. It's on you. Remember I said at the beginning, you have to build these bridges. Most parents aren't going to come chasing you down to get these information. They're not going to come and be like, oh, let me come to the top of the hill and ask the guru pastor or the guru volunteer, for the answers to all of life's mysteries. You have to build these bridges. And if you're going to build a bridge and you're going to make a connection, you need to be committed and consistent in all that you do. Um, Basically, practice in this is I have a schedule of communication. It helps me remember what I'm trying to tell people, when I'm trying to tell it. Um, about a foot to my right now, there's this hanging on the wall of my office for parent impact. On Sunday morning, we have our middle school ministry. So what's something I can post to parents to help them know what happened? What did we teach? What did they learn? What was something they experienced? A funny picture or a short video clip of what the middle schoolers did on Sunday morning. And I try and get it up as soon as we're done. We end at 11 o'clock. I hope by about 11:05 to 11:10, I've got something ready to go on my parent page for them to see a video. Sunday night is our high school small groups. Same thing. What did we do with the high school students so that they can kind of get a glimpse into what's going on, what the game was, what was being taught that night? Sometimes I even post the small group questions. Hey, this is what we discussed. Have a discussion with your own child, over dinner sometime this week about what was taught at youth group on Sunday night. On Tuesdays, we try and do a video, just like those U60 videos that I showed. There's 52 of them in the series, so I try and post one of those a week. And then on Thursdays, we do a little bit deeper discussion, and we do a parent discussion article. That's usually the thing that takes more than 3 minutes. That might be closer to 5 to read an article by Jonathan McKee or by Duffy Robbins. But that's something we put out there, and then we hope for parents to respond in the comments section. Hey, what's your experience with this, or what do you think about that topic? And all these things are creating windows of opportunity and bridges for you to reach out and have parents know what's going on in your ministry. So have a plan. I have a schedule, but you need to have a plan and you need to be consistent to it. So start, just like sometimes we tell kids, hey, start with reading your Bible 5 minutes a day, and then maybe as you get the habit of that, go to 10 minutes. Maybe just start one day a week that you can send something out to parents through your lines of communication, and then you can go from there. And if it's something that they're gravitating towards, add to it. Go to more things that you can reach out to. But have a plan and stick to it. If you go for 2 weeks and you're like, I'm going to post this on Monday and this on Wednesday and this on Friday, and then you hit the third Monday and you're like, oh, I forgot. All right, I'll get to it on Wednesday, and then I come back and oh, I missed that one. Oh, it's Friday. They're going to see you don't really have as much care for this connection. Why should they? And that's why you keep these open. The benefit is it shows that you're serious and it raises parents' opinion of you. They want You want parents to see you as a resource. You want them to see you as somebody that can really speak truth into not only their student's life, but in their life. Have a plan and stick to it. Show them that you've got longevity, that you've got something there that they can turn to. If they see you as disorganized and as you don't really care, then it's really easy to tune you out and not connect and talk uh, to them as well. Um, so my final thought before we kind of move on to some questions and answers is I feel that getting parents connected shows them value of what you do, and the benefit is then if they see you as valuable, they're going to want their kid in front of you as much as possible. Uh, I know here in our context, and it's probably the same, I think, in Pennsylvania from what I remember, students don't really get a driver's license here till middle to junior year, almost their senior year. So a lot of kids around here still rely on mom and dad, even until sophomore, junior year of high school, to drive them to church if they don't have a friend that can bring them. But mom and dad put them in the car and bring them out. We do Sunday night small groups with high school. That's what fits into our context with sports and with other things. But then we have parents who on Sunday afternoon, they're watching the football game. Oh, it's 5:30. It's almost time to take my kid to church. Is it worth it? We can skip it. But if they see a benefit, they see value through what you can provide them through those lines of communication, through quality training, through things that show you care about their family, that's going to turn into, hey, let's get in the car. You're going to church. They're going to want to see their child here. They're going to want to see their student here. And then they're going to also talk positively about that to other families in their community as they're sitting on the sideline at a soccer game. Oh, yeah, my kid's going to the church thing tonight. Your kid should go. Or they're waiting in line at the grocery store and they run into somebody. They will start talking positively about your ministry. They will see that you really care, and it'll bring value to your ministry and will help, I believe, put students in the seats as parents see that this is something that they need to care about and to be a part of, and make sure their child's there as well. So I hope a lot of that helps. I'm ready to take some questions now, I believe, Eric. So if you need to pull back here somehow, I could swap to the Q&A slide here.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah.
I just want to open it up. And Mark, I'm going to let you monitor the questions if there are any. And if people want to just, we can actually go to their microphones then, Mark, if you want. But I just wondered if any questions at all about what Dan's talked about, or even things that you might want to chime in and add, maybe you're doing in your church, or yeah, I mean, anything right now would be great. So
yeah, I'm not afraid to steal some good ideas.
yeah, yeah. Actually, Dan, I think I have a question that might help too, though.
Okay.
How did you go about starting the parent page? Like, meaning, okay, I'm gonna be like completely ignorant at this point. Let's say I have no idea how to even start something like that in Facebook or anything. What did you do?
Okay. When you log into Facebook, on the front page, you have all your little things on the side that you're connected to, your groups, your ministries, your things that you follow. You'll see that on the left side of your screen. Under that, there's usually one for groups, and at the bottom of the group drop-down is one that says Create a Group. And you click on there, and then it's a real simple thing you can answer and follow through just the Facebook questions of how you want it set up, who you want to be involved. If you want to be a public group, which means that anybody looking can find it, We find a closed group is better because you do get some internet trolls that will see things and um, we'll start posting things, and it's a little bit more to moderate in a public group. In a closed group, I found most everybody is very respectful and sticks to the topic in what they're talking about. But it's right in that drop down on the left side of your Facebook screen when you first log in.
So if the church has a Facebook page, they could go to the left side and hit that button and start a group.
Yes, actually, the group is started under my personal account.
Oh, okay. But
um,
but a church could do it though too.
yeah.
Yeah.
If your church has a Facebook account and a password and an email, then you could start one that way as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can name moderators and other people. You can limit what can post. Um, I believe I have two admins I've named on our group that can moderate comments and delete things if something comes up, and also post if I needed them to. So it's a great team thing as well. To maybe even once you get it going, get some parents
Right.
helping to moderate their own group.
Nice.
D- Pastor Dan, do you use any software to text message either students or parents in a group setting, or do you just use a regular texting? And how does that work? Are most parents texting savvy? How's that work for you?
Yeah, we have through our church database. It's called Church Teams. It's a great group of guys. Created this church database software where you can put in everybody's mobile phone number, and as they log in or they're part of a small group, you can text just that small group. I can say, because it's in database format, hey, let me just text all the junior guys, or hey, let me get all of the sophomores, the guys and the girls. Um, and then we have also parents, and we have a separate list in our database for parents. And we could say, hey, parents, this is what's going on. Or if I want, I could text everybody all at once, um, which is a great function as well to remind the whole group of big things like, hey, the retreat is coming up, sign up. Tomorrow's the deadline, and things like that. I'm trying to think, is that all of the question about texting? Um,
That's
yeah,
really helpful.
yeah.
I question how much parents and especially students use email or some of those more antiquated forms of communication.
Yeah, we also have a MailChimp account. If you've ever gotten an email from MailChimp, um, we started that back in May. The benefit to MailChimp over Church Teams is it tracks how many people actually open your email. So when they open it, it sends you back a note on their website, and you can count the number of opens. Um, we have 450 emails in our database for student ministry, and the first one we sent out came back and it said only 30% of my email got opened. And at first I was really devastated. I'm like, that's like a third. Like two-thirds of our people aren't reading this. And then I started to realize and do some research, and 30% is actually really good for a church email, um,
It
by
is.
what MailChimp says is the national standard. Anything above like 25% of your people read what you send, you're doing good. Um, so that's another thing you have to, like, a culture shift and a mind shift is, hey, that's 30% more people than were listening when I didn't send something. Um, so I mean, like I said, it's a bridge building type ministry of getting to parents, and it's finding them and reaching them in the time that they're most ready to answer, and when they want to read and see what you're doing.
And Richard Krauser said is wanted better understand MailChimp. He says, is that MailChimp? So do you want to tell him a little more about that software?
Yeah, it's a website called Mailchimp.com. It's a free account you can get up to, I think, like 1,000 emails. So in most church settings, it should work great because, I mean, we're not all Saddleback or Willow Creek um, in the number of emails we have. And you can set it up where you design it and put it together however you want. It's got graphic capabilities. You can do um, links to videos or to other information, or if you have a sign-up page somewhere. And it's chimp, like chimpanzee, and it's another one. It's simple, just answer their questions. And then it's as complicated as really you want to make it. Like we have a stock photo head of our youth ministry logo, and we've got buttons that come on every week for joining a small group, and for actually to get to our parent page. There's a reminder in that MailChimp email to, hey, go to Facebook and find the parent page. There's also, like, we have some discipleship groups and things, and ours is pretty complicated, but you can just go and send even a simple email through MailChimp, and it'll tell you who opened it, when they opened it. It's great when a parent says, well, I didn't know about that. And you can go back and say, well, here, because you didn't open the email I sent you. That's not always the best practice to go tell them that, but you can check and know
Right.
whether or not they got it or not.
Regionally, we use Constant Contact, but there's a fee to that. MailChimp is a great free alternative. There's templates, and so it's really simple to use a template that's already on their website, and then just with some graphics customize it. But you do have to create the database. You do have to get everyone's email addresses into MailChimp, but then it's really easy to send out email messages, and your email messages don't get flagged as spam then and are not caught up in the spam filter because MailChimp is recognized as a corporate email service, and you're less likely to get spammed or your email get flagged.
Right.
Yeah, and with Constant Contact, we had them for our church, and you said, as you're right, it is you pay for the service. It does give you a little bit of local reach for advertising, I believe, but we found MailChimp is just so much easier and more targeted to who we want to get information.
Yep. Great free service. So, Pastor Dan, do you use lots of different social media platforms? Do you use Snapchat? Are you someone who tweets? How, in terms of connecting with both students and parents, how social media heavy are you in your communication?
We do not use Snapchat in our ministry. We actually ask our leaders to not use Snapchat either, just for child safety's sake, and just you can't control what is and is not seen through Snapchat. So we've not used Snapchat at all. Mainly for students, we use a lot of Instagram. And because Instagram, you can also connect to Facebook and Twitter. Right. We try to use Instagram as our main piece, and then we click the boxes for Instagram and Twitter for the kids that use those, or for Facebook and Twitter for people that follow those. So it's the same thing, and you only have to send it once, and it goes to 3 different platforms.
Cool.
And Instagram is picture-based, so picture's worth 1,000 words.
And one final question then, do you have any print media that is that just too old school to have print media? Do you include anything in a church newsletter that goes out by mail, or is print media no longer valuable?
We don't print as much as we did. We save a bunch on postage that way. We have a church electronic newsletter, which also goes through MailChimp. So if I need something that I want to go to more than just the youth group, I pass that on to our secretary that sends that out. and then she'll put together, here's all the things for worship and small groups and adult ministry, and then our youth group thing will come in that larger electronic newsletter. We do very little print except for the Sunday bulletin.
Thanks.
Okay.
I think I would go along with Dan here. I think using Instagram is, as of right now, Instagram, and who knows what tomorrow will bring, but right now, Instagram is probably the stronger social media platform to use for teenagers than any other platform right now. Twitter is a big one, but if you get them connected to Instagram, and I think, Dan, you pointed out something that's very crucial, it's that photo, it's the visual, and the picture tells 1,000 words and paints 1,000 words. And I think for a lot of folks in Instagram, and I know churches now that are using Instagram as their ways to promote, because you can connect it not only to Instagram, but also to obviously your Facebook and Twitter. But what's really nice about that is that you can reach multiple people in your congregation then via different platforms. So one person might see it on Instagram, one person might see it on Twitter, another person might see it on Facebook, and that starts to really kind of grab different people. I think it's a good thing. So it's a good idea.
And they all see the same message.
Yep.
Which I think is key. That it's not a little different, or there's not a chance for information to maybe be typed wrong. You type it once and everybody can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean to monopolize the questions, but Pastor Dan, one other question. How much time do you spend in face-to-face communication with parents? Do you try to circulate to all your parents in a certain part throughout the year? Do you set up like face-to-face meetings over a meal or visit at their home? How much of that is actual personal contact?
I will say that's probably a smaller portion of my contact with parents, although I do try and be outside of the parking lot before small groups as they're driving up so that they see me and see that I'm available. As much as I can on Sunday mornings, be involved with parenting small groups and just making myself visible around our church campus, which can be hard with as many people that come here. I also try and push on our leadership to get me FaceTime, either doing announcements on Sunday morning in the services or using examples from our student ministry while our pastor's preaching to try and have people hear it and see what's going on as well. But generally, the more upfront I find I can be around our church, especially even giving announcements, it just helps people remember, oh yeah, that's the face, that's the guy, that's who we need to talk to. And then in that case, they start to come and seek me out. Home visits around here are mostly in a crisis or an emergency situation. I think that's maybe just culturally. And I grew up here. I don't even remember when I grew up, my youth pastor come into my house very often. People are very guarded about that space, usually because they don't want you to see the mess that is either their house or the mess that is their lives. But in those situations, those can be really beneficial as well. But you have, in my context, I have to kind of look for the right opportunity to show up at somebody's house. I find sporting events and games for soccer, lacrosse, field hockey are great opportunities as well to find parents while they're sitting and watching their kid, to put face-to-face time with them.
Good ideas.
Any other questions for Dan? I know Mark and I just asked questions, but anybody want to chime in or jump in with a question or thought?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat box or in the question box. Oh, wait. Yeah.
No, I think that was it.
Oh, well,
Oh wait, somebody
Yeah,
said here,
a couple of notes in the question box.
Mark, you got that?
And Richard Krauser says a fun class we do is once a year we have our students lead a social media class for the parents.
Well, that could be good.
Right there.
It
So
promotes
maybe
student leadership. It helps students talk about something that they're passionate about, social media, and it puts them and parents in the same room at the same time. That's a great idea, Richard.
Corey Corey Fields had a comment. One thing about MailChimp, because of email algorithms, if you don't have an official website, web or email domain, that you can verify through MailChimp, it may create, it may make it go to spam for a lot of people. So good point. I don't see anything else.
Richard wrote something. Do you see what Richard wrote,
Richard
Mark?
wrote thanks. And then he also talked about his social media class, which we already mentioned.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Sorry, somebody knocked on my door here at Eastern. So.
Okay. So I'm not seeing anything else.
Yeah. Well.
At this.
Yeah. No, Dan. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And folks, we'll make sure that this is archived on the webpage. You'll be able to go back to the webpage. It'll say click on recording, and then from that, from his box that'll be up there, you'll be able to watch it again if you want to show some other folks. So thank you so much, Mark. I'm going to ask you can pray for us, and then we'll be done. Mark?
And Eric, I'm going to ask you to pray because my phone keeps ringing, so I've
All
muted
right,
myself.
I'll pray. I will pray if
Thank
I have to. Okay. All right, folks, let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for this time. Thank you for Dan and his ministry and for what he's doing and going out of his way to do extra things to try to reach parents. God, I pray that we can all glean something from this today and that we would take something with us to help us in our own ministries and help us to do the things that are necessary to do a better job at just connecting and reaching and finding ways to bring more people into your flock. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
amen.
Folks, thank you so much. And like I said, we'll have it archived and we'll have it up. Everybody have a great day. Dan, thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody has questions, you can email me, youthpastordan@gmail. Find me on Instagram. Let's look at some of my posts. And also if website where I have some other content and material that I repost from other people as well. So
great. Awesome. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dan, and I'll be in touch. Thanks, buddy. Talk to you later.
Okay. All right, have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, bye-bye.